right, first of all, everybody, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Seems like forever since we met, and over the next week, we're gonna be sick of seeing each other with all the budget hearings, but we'll be okay. So this is the Town of Woodbridge Board of Finance monthly meeting, Thursday, January 19th, 2023. And the first item on our agenda is public comments. Karen, is there anything in the,
No, I have no
Nothing.
public comments.
no public comments? Well, we have a lot of comments coming from our administrative officer, director of finance, Anthony Genovese, who, if he hasn't heard, I'm going to say it. His son was accepted early to Boston College, so there's something else to celebrate.
Oh, very nice.
Very smart kid.
Just
All right,
get
there
out
you
the
go.
pocketbook. Just get out your wallet, that's all.
Tony looks a little blunt.
Congratulations, Tony.
Thank you. Thank
That's
you.
another great thing. All right, Anthony.
All right, so we'll, first 6 months of the fiscal year, we have a surplus of about $400,000, which, given that we have a $400,000 allocation from fund balance, we're about even with no change in the fund balance at the end of the year. So that leaves us at about 14% of our fund balance, compared to our expenditures for the year. So that's a pretty good percentage. I think a lot of that comes from interest income, which is a surplus of about a little under $300,000 as it continues to increase. And if rates keep increasing, so will our interest income. We are a good portion of our, at the time I did this letter, it was about 4.5%. It was about the average of what our return is. And we're restricted on our what we can invest in. So that's actually pretty good. Our intergovernmental revenue is about breaking even. We did receive an extra $183,000 from the state of Connecticut for MRSA grants that we did not anticipate. But to offset that, we have a $194,000 shortfall in special education excess cost grant funds. We received the estimate from the Board of Education, and last year the estimate was clearly much too high. And so we have a significant deficit this year. So I reduced it significantly in the budget this year. And so that's something we'll discuss next week. We did receive $23,500, $456 actually, in opioid settlement funds. So there's two settlements currently that we receive funding annually from. One is from Johnson & Johnson settlement, who's the manufacturer of the opioids in question here. And the second settlement is from the distributors, which is McKesson, and there's a couple of distributors that were involved in the second settlement. So each one has a distribution schedule. The Johnson & Johnson, I think, is more and lasts longer than the distributor settlement. But that's our portion, and I know the Human Services is looking into possibly using the funds for education and other opioid awareness programming. On the expenses, we will most likely, although I don't know, based on the way this winter is going, the natural gas that we locked into was much higher than the rate that we had before we did the budget. But so far, we've had a warm winter, so I'm not sure where that deficit, if there will be a deficit, and if so, where that will come out. So I'll just keep an eye on that. There is a funding request this month to address the needs in the fire department in their apparatus repairs. That will be discussed later on your agenda. We are seeing a shortfall in waste management, and that's projected for two reasons. First of all, our solid waste tonnage is up slightly, and the second and more significant one is recycling. And the solid waste tonnage issue, we collect a fee on that, so it's really cost neutral on the town. But we do not collect a tip fee or any sort of fee on recycling, and the costs have gone up significantly. It's very much based on commodity and how much each product is getting on the market, because the recycling products, the products that are recycled, are offset the cost to recycle them. For instance, if you recycle cardboard, another one is certain plastics and aluminum and mixed paper. I think those are some of the major ones. There is a problem with contamination in recycling. I think that's a lot of that's an education issue, exactly what is recyclable and what isn't. And the second issue is glass that happens to break in the single stream. And so these are all factors that lead into this significant cost, which is $99.22 a ton. Back probably 10 years ago, we were getting about $20 a ton for our recyclables. So you can see how that's significantly changed over the past decade. Well, I know we plan on the next month or so to start doing some outreach and awareness on that. Finally, the Amity School District, there's two issues actually that one has come up after this. The first is that we have $134,000 surplus in our Amity line because of the town meeting issue where we actually budgeted more than the adopted budget because of the failed referendum, about $134,000. The second is that the surplus issue, as was reported to me, we will be receiving a reduction. So what used to happen was they would have a surplus. In this particular case, would be their 22 year, right, which ended past June of 2022, and then they would have their audit, and then once their audit was complete, we'd receive a check in January usually for the amount of our percentage of the surplus. Well, instead of doing that, we're going to reduce one of our payments by that amount. So it's effectively the same thing where, I'm not sure exactly how, do you know how much it is, Matt? I don't know exactly how much, or
609, I think it's 609,000.
Yeah.
And we get around 30% of that. So it's
Okay.
probably 190, 185, 190, something like that.
Okay, so you'd have to add that to this
Yeah.
calculation here. So we'll be, so really it's 330,000 roughly less. If that makes sense. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No.
That's
what I
it.
wanted. That's it.
Any questions for Tony?
Just one question. Would the opioid were we part of the lawsuit or
No,
were
so
we
what happened?
impacted by?
It was a class action where all the municipalities and all of the states were involved. So we had to sign up for it back in the summer. I think it was like July or August. We had to opt in to the maybe a little earlier. We had to opt into the lawsuit, so we opted into both lawsuits, and
Got it.
it was organized through the state. State sent out information to all the towns.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else? Tony, review of the audit.
So I thought initially I was going to go through the audit, but Scott is actually coming to the meeting next Thursday.
Okay.
So I'm going to I'll just let him go through it. I sent to you the completed financials. You should have gotten that electronically.
Mhm.
We'll have copies at the meeting if you want to go through one of the copies. Also, is an audit letter. The Board of Finance is the audit committee here in Woodbridge, which means that the Board of Finance is responsible for reviewing the audit and responsible for conducting the audit. And sometimes have a separate audit committee, but in our case, it's the Board of Finance. So there's a letter to the Board of Finance for that. And it was an interesting year this year. We had the new thing was leases. So we have to recognize now leases, operating leases like copier leases and machine leases, and as a liability, longer term liability, because it's essentially an agreement where you have to pay, or in our case, a revenue item for the lease for the we lease the space to the child center. So that's actually considered a revenue, an asset. So we had that was a lot of work for that, getting all that together. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, that's it.
Okay. Woodbridge Board of Ed financial report. I saw there's a surplus or something. You want to talk about that later, Tom, or?
I'll talk about that later if you want. That's fine.
Sure.
There's a
Okay.
few things to talk about.
And then a reminder, budget meeting dates next Tuesday, the 24th, next Thursday, the 26th, the following Tuesday, the 31st, and if necessary, Thursday, February 2nd, which generally we've never done that, but you never know.
We did it one year, I think, when there was a snow date.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So keep those days open.
I just want to make one comment, Matt, about the budget hearings.
Yeah,
So we sent out our information about the budget in we have it available in 3 formats.
I saw that.
Yep, so one is, all 3 formats have exactly the same information, just
Okay.
different formats. One's a book, traditional printed book. One is a PDF that you can go through on your computer. And the third way is through our budget program, which is called ClearGov. And that's more of an interactive version where you log into ClearGov and you can see all the stuff online. And that's how the department heads build the budget this year. So it's essentially the same program where all the department heads used, instead of using different forms in Excel and all these programs. It's a sort of a single program that the departments use, and I thought it went very well. So I just thought I'd mention that.
Good.
Whatever version you use, you all have the same information.
Okay,
And I'm assuming all those meetings are in public, I mean, in person? next
I
week?
believe so, yeah. Like we did the,
Like the
Yeah.
Capitol.
with
Correct.
masks.
With Matt.
Okay, next is, funding
Excuse
requests.
me,
Yeah.
excuse me, 1 second. I think I have the wrong dates. It's the 24th, 26th.
Yeah, next Tuesday, next Thursday.
Oh, okay, okay,
Following Tuesday, the following Thursday, if need be.
okay, thanks.
Matt, can I just say something about the ClearGov?
Sure.
If anyone requested to use ClearGov, the email coming to you for the link to log on is from ClearGov, not Tony or I.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Okay, funding requests. Okay, so. The first is, line item transfer 2223-16 in the amount of 422585, and it's to transfer election grant funds to the town clerk. So this is just transferring money. It's really has no impact on taxes. So I'll move acceptance of line item transfer 2223-16 in the amount of 4225.85.
Second,
Any questions on this or whatever? No? Okay. All those in favor, I'm yes. Tom, Donovan, Ellen, Susan? You there?
Yep. Yes.
And Dwight?
Yep.
Yep, yes.
Okay. All right, next, as Tony mentioned earlier, let's see here. Yeah, next is this fire department request. I guess it was originally 58 and it's lowered to 30. Is that right, Tony?
Correct.
Okay,
The Board of Selectmen acknowledges that there could be a $58,000 issue, but at the present time, they authorized $30,000 in funding and would like to see if either the department could has some remaining in their budget, similar to what
oh,
you've
yeah,
done.
I'm gonna discuss this as we always do. We always have this,
Yeah.
of course, we're gonna pay it.
Right.
Let's get it on the table. So I'll move acceptance of funding request 2223-17 in the modified amount of $30,000.
I'll second.
Oh,
Okay. Right, and what I want to say is what I say every year on this. I would rather not, and this isn't up for anybody. Tony, you can comment on this too, but I always feel that I would rather not do this, and we'll see how the budget goes. Because Tony, at the end of the year, he can move money from anywhere he wants. If there's a surplus in another department, he can take that and move it into the fire department. Correct, Tony?
Yeah.
Well,
Well, you have to approve it, but yes,
yeah,
I
we
can.
have to approve it, but yeah, in other words, so I've always been of the opinion that we are going to pay this. Obviously, we're not going to not pay it, but I'd rather not tap our contingency fund right now because who knows what the rest of the year brings. And then come the end of the year, Tony, with his magical wand, can start moving things around to cover this. So it would be my opinion that we don't do this at this point, but anybody else wants to chime in on this, please.
I would just acknowledge that the department, however, can go forward with the repairs that they feel
Oh, yeah.
are necessary up to the 58,000. So we're
Okay.
clear on it. Let's clear on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. again, there's no, we're gonna pay it. But I would rather do it as we get to the end of the year and we see where the part of the budgets are.
Yeah,
So,
this is actually part of my liaison report. Actually,
Oh.
it's related to unbudgeted truck repair expenses.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, we're, as I'm saying, we're gonna pay this. It's just that I prefer not to tap contingency, you know, at this point. And then at the end of the year, when we get close, there's a lot of accounts we could look at. And perhaps Tony can come up with the money in a different way. If not, then we'll take it out of contingency. So,
Matt, can I ask a question?
yeah,
I don't know if Donovan should answer it or Tony, but are these repairs that have already been completed?
About half.
Oh, half of them. Okay.
I think that if you look at the balance,
Right.
it was about 26,000. Some of them are in process. We haven't paid them yet. You know, I'm not sure how many they've actually been committed to, but some have been paid, some are in process, some haven't been paid yet.
Got it. Thank you.
and so I wanted to ask something also. So Matt, I do recall this discussion in the past.
Mm,
I believe we have followed your suggestion on it and it's worked out. Am I correct about
Yep.
that?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, every year we come up with this, and every year I make this statement, and every year, by the end of the year, Tony's able to cover this with something else. Or, as I said, if he's not, then we go to contingency, but more towards the end of the year. So I'm going to make a motion that I guess no, we just don't have to act on this, right? Is that correct, Tony? Do I
Correct.
have to? Do we have to? Yeah, we could just.
Yeah, I don't think you have to.
Yeah, we don't have to act on it at all. Right. So unless somebody would like to offer a.
Do you have a
Matt,
motion?
you'd probably have to rescind your motion.
Yeah, or vote to.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I made a motion. That's right.
And then, or vote to deny it or something, because there's a check.
No, I don't think we want to deny it. I think the accounting strategy suggested by Matt, which has worked in the past, is what we should follow. So
So do I revoke my motion?
Withdraw
Rescind
your motion.
Okay,
That's
I will withdraw my motion, requesting $30,000 in funding for the fire commission from contingency.
And just for
Tom, is
now,
that
do
okay
I
with
have
you?
to, I will withdraw my second, so.
Okay, good. Okay, so as everybody understand, I know, and I know Sean and they know, we've talked about this before, so.
It's an abnormal year.
Yeah, I know.
I've been
I
there.
know.
It was like a really abnormal year for older vehicles and.
Yeah, I saw the fire commission meeting when Sean was talking about all this. And it's constant, but yeah, so again, he knows we've talked again, that we're gonna pay this, so, okay, good. All right, next is the steep grant, and it's a line item transfer for $27,250 for gym renovation, architectural engineering services to renovate the gym. So I will move acceptance of request for funding line item transfer 2223-18 in the amount of $27,250.
Second.
Okay. Tony, anything you want to mention about this? Because this is going to be an ongoing project.
To enable the building
You
committee.
want me to do that, Tony?
White-
You want
white
me
service
just quickly?
member. Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I'm the chair of the building committee. And one of the pieces we've carved out of the center building renovation project, because we have a steep grant, is that $500,000 for the gym, surrounding bathrooms and whatever it is, we're going to enter into a separate contract with SP plus A for that piece. This $27,250 will take us from the start, drawings and everything, all the way through construction and completion. So, and we're actually gonna start meeting next week to come up with a game plan on how we can implement that.
Okay, sounds good. Any other comments, questions? Okay, hearing none. Yes, Dwight?
Yep.
Ellen, Tom, Susan,
Yes.
and Donovan. Yes. Okay.
One other
Very good.
that, Matt, I just
Yeah, go
want
ahead.
quickly, as part of the renovation project for the center building, we also recommended that we at least do phase one with SP plus A, so they can do a complete study of the center building, the mechanical systems, electrical systems, exterior wall, building interiors, to give us some recommendations and options, including PD and human services on how to proceed. That amount for phase one, that's just estimates and whatever, is an amount of $55,000. And that's going to be taken up, I understand, Beth, next month at the Board of Selectmen meeting.
Okay,
We chose not to act on it because we don't know where it's gonna come from.
Right.
Didn't want to touch contingency for that at this point.
okay, good. All righty then. Approval of minutes. These are the minutes of our last monthly meeting on December 15th. And I will move acceptance of the minutes of the Board of Finance monthly meeting on Thursday, December 15th, 2022, as presented.
Second,
Any adjustments, corrections, anything at all?
No.
Nothing? Okay. All those in favor? Yes. Dwight?
Yes.
Ellen, yes. Tom?
Abstain.
Abstain. Donovan?
Yeah.
Susan?
Yes.
Okay. Next is the first selectmen's report. Beth?
My report will probably be the longest part of this meeting, but I'll try to be brief. Sorry. I just gave a couple of informational things to you. I'm going to give a couple informational things to you guys that I mentioned at the Board of Selectmen. You probably all know that New Haven County is now color coded in the red for high community spread. And the CDC recommends staying up to date on vaccines and wearing masks indoors in public spaces, which we all know will help prevent or reduce severe illness and lower the potential for strain on the healthcare system. Just as a PSA to those in the audience listening as well, Woodbridge Human Services, in partnership with Griffin and the DPH mobile van, is going to hold an all ages COVID vaccine clinic for children 6 months to seniors on January 31st from 1 to 6 in our center gymnasium. No appointments are necessary. Also, masks are available for town residents through Human Services, and they have a limited supply as well of COVID-19 home test kits. You can call the department to arrange pickup. And I just checked the positivity rate. Last week, I think it was in the 14s. We're now 11.57. With more than $3 million in federal and state grant funding secured in the past year, independent from the federal ARPA funds, we look to take projects from the proposed stages to completion. We've touched on this a little bit tonight with funding. These projects include renovation of the old firehouse into the community cultural center, construction to renovate the Woodbridge Center, center gymnasium, and sidewalks to link Amity High School to the library and other town buildings. Another PSA, the Woodbridge Center's renovation project is well on its way, and when finished, it's going to be a modern, fresh, welcoming, air-conditioned space. We're working with Center Gym to renovations using the STEEP grant. There will be a community culture meeting at the library at 7 p.m. on January 25th. A lot of meetings, and I would encourage everyone to attend to learn more about the proposed plan, ask questions, and provide feedback. And as Dwight mentioned, and you guys voted for, the $500,000 STEEP grant that we got as an extra bonus at the end of the year last year will help us with the center building, take that piece out of the whole project and renovate that gym, get an HVAC system in there, and clean up the bathrooms. So it's all good and exciting news. And it's, yes, it's tax dollars, but it's state and federal tax dollars, not Woodbridge tax dollars. I want to make that clear to everyone who's listening. With that, thank you.
Oh, that wasn't bad.
Oh,
No.
well,
We talked for 20 minutes.
we do that to you guys. Sorry.
Okay, liaison reports. Anybody like to report on something? Donovan, you said you want, or did you already do it with the fire?
Oh yeah, so I attended the fire commission meeting on the 4th. And as we report, COVID-19 numbers have gone up. The town is red. With that said, we segued into the operating budget review, and just going through a few line items. The cleaning custodial line may increase as a result of additional cleaning required for COVID-19. They think the medical expense insurance is going to go up by 5%. Um, and there's a fire physical requirement this time around, which kind of adds to that. Um, the cost of truck compliance, DOT standards, that's going to increase. Building maintenance costs. There's some requirements in terms of keeping the building up to code. The last set of maintenance was done in 2009. There's a software maintenance, cybersecurity software subscription that's coming due. That's about $25,000 to $41,000 range. They think trash removal is going up. You know, we'll see an increase in the utility lines. Yeah, and it goes on and on. The training will increase because they've hired new members. Gear replacement for new members, so that line item is going to go up by about $4,000. There's some Wi-Fi issues. Recommendation to redo the Wi-Fi in the building. So quite a few line items will go up this year, mostly due to inflation, the utilities, of course, and cybersecurity software maintenance and so forth, medical insurance, and that's about it.
Okay, I'm sure we'll be hearing from them in the next few meetings, okay?
Yep.
Tom, you just want to quickly run by what's going on at Beecher?
Yeah, I'll just quickly run by. The new superintendent seems to be good. I was at the finance committee. A few things just to bring up. It's in our report. They still have the about $300,000 surplus because of difficulty in hiring the paraprofessionals, the TAs. That they're hoping to hire more, so that that surplus might go down if they hire more. Along with that is the benefits. The MRF is running higher than expected. That could get worse if we hire more paraprofessionals. But the two big points that they wanted me to bring up tonight, are two issues with what the state legislature passed last year. One is about the need for by January of 2024, there has to be a inspection of the HVAC system. That inspection has to show that the building meets all of the requirements as set out in the legislature. More importantly, that has to be done by a certified inspector, an inspector that was chosen by Hartford. So that's right now they're going out to try and figure out what that will cost. Looks like it'll cost around $45,000. Amity is expecting it to cost about $150,000. That has to be done by January 2024, and then it's a little questionable right now, 3 to 5 years. There was some discussion about, they thought that the bill said every 5 years. Someone else suggested it might be 3 years. So just something for us to keep in mind. That's out there to do it. The other big one is on reading. The state has now said that by the end of 2024, all school districts have to be using one of 7 commercial reading packages. Though that package, again, they're just in the early stages of trying to figure out, which one might be most appropriate for Beecher. They wanted me to emphasize that our reading program is doing well. All of the kids at Beecher meet the minimum standards set out by the state. Most of them are doing better, about 12% struggle every year. But the state legislature has decided that there are 7 commercial packages that we get to choose from. Those packages are not cheap. The initial cost could range from, and they don't have all the numbers yet, of course, just wanted to cause us to have a little bit of a heart attack. Those could range from about $350,000 to $1 million. And then every year there will be a subscription based on the number of kids we have, estimating, maybe around $30,000 a year. So just for us to keep in mind as they present their operating budget year over year, that will be hanging out in that. Other than that, things are proceeding. I look forward to having our discussion about their proposed budget next week.
Matt, I,
Okay.
I have two questions for Tom. On this, the package, is there a comparable uh budget item now that we can compare it to? I mean, obviously it's replacing something, so it's not, well, it sounds like a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? How much more is than we spend?
I mean, my understanding is that they're using that they're using a bunch of different things mostly, and I'm hoping I'm not speaking way out of school on this. Mostly, I think on the professional learning to teach. They're using part of what the state, what I was told is part of what the state doesn't like is the fact that districts are, piecing together various things to put it together. This seems, from what they were talking about, was not necessarily replacing any current costs, but I'm sure they are. And the other thing is that they will be asking for more professional development so that all the teachers come up to speed on this. Right now, it's required for K-3, but the expectation is it will expand all the way to sixth grade. So I can't answer specifically what will be taken out of the budget for that, if anything.
Mhm.
But
Thank you.
that's one of the questions we probably need to ask next week.
And also on the ventilation, are there new standards? Is that sort of a, reaction to COVID and having better ventilation in the schools?
I think it is new standards. But again, we have a contract already that we get inspected and Vito does the work and makes sure that everything is okay. The expectation is not that we will fail that as much as now we have to go through this formal process using a state chosen. And for both of these initiatives, one of the concerns is going to be that, are there going to be enough people to be able to do this? Are there enough inspectors to do it in the proper time? Are these companies going to ramp up to put it into all the districts within the time frame? The other thing I will notice that there is a waiver process for the reading initiative. The superintendent informed me that they've been sort of told that it is unlikely that anyone will get the waiver, but they are she said that they're estimating it's going to take about 40 hours of work to complete all of the paperwork to put in for the waiver. They're expecting that will be turned down, and then they're going to apply for an extension because at that point it's not clear that they'll be able to choose a package, get it trained, get it all together. So it
Mhm.
may be delayed. But again, for both of these, it's just so that we're aware that there's going to be new yearly costs that we had not had in the past.
Thank
And I
you.
do think, Ellen, I do think you have a really good question that I didn't ask at the time, which was, what might be removed from our budget when we do this. So it may be hopefully not as bad as it sounds.
Sounds bad.
It sure
Thanks.
does.
And I'll tell you, based on our school and a brand new school, well, not brand new, but I'll imagine our HVAC is a lot in better shape than some other schools. I mean, there are
Right.
some ancient schools out there. I don't know how they're going to pass.
Well,
Uh,
and what it's going to cost them to bring it up to speed if it
exactly,
doesn't pass.
exactly. So the only other thing I would mention that I think, watching all the Channel 79 programs, the Board of Selectmen and Recreation, et cetera, we're going to be hearing a lot about the Beecher swimming pool. A lot of discussion about it and filters and don't do the filters and do the filters. And so I have a feeling that's going to take up a lot of discussions down the road, but there's a lot of people talking about it. So I'm sure we're going to be hearing about it. So um, just wanted to mention that. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah,
And I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Matt,
Yeah,
I attended the Human Services meeting
yeah.
January 9th. They spent a good deal of time on their operating budget, going through the lines, making sure everybody was satisfied and everything, and they voted unanimously. They also talked about the ongoing renovation of the senior center. It's ongoing, and they're hopefully everything is going to get done by this summer is what they're projecting. We're also going to be going back in person this year for the virtual assistants to help their clients with all their tax returns. They do it in the center, and they'll also do it virtual. So and I guess they have people coming in on a as needed basis to help the folks. And then transportation, ED just gave Human Services an 07 Crown Vic for use because their other vehicle is just shot. It's got over 180,000 miles on it, and it's not. So you can imagine it's not in really great shape. It's going to be need a repair. So they may be looking one of these days for another vehicle to use. Youth Services is going fine. They talked about the week care bags for the holidays, where a lot of the middle school kids came up with a lot of the bags, which they went to the homeless shelter with, which was pretty nice. The toys for kids, there were approximately 15 toys that were collected, put in a library, through Team Inc. in Derby to benefit local families. Shop with a Cop they did for the holidays, and I guess that worked out very well. They were happy with the Santa visits with it. Okay, the fire department going out and visiting all the families that they gave to the fire department, and the senior center is going well. They're doing a lot of lunch and learns. Hopefully, they're trying to get back in person. And the next one coming up is going to be a lunch and learn with Amity Physical Therapy on January 25th to talk about hip and knee replacement surgery. So that's something to get people ready for. So
That's wonderful.
a lot of us are going to be there one day. I already did.
How about shoulder replacement that I need?
I already did my hip. So other than that, everything looks like, it's going well with them. So.
Okay. Anything else? For those hamburger and French fry fans, I don't know if you realize it, Five Guys Burgers and Fries closed up down on Amity Road.
No,
wow.
really?
Yeah, closed
bad.
up. Went by there last Saturday. There's a sign in the window, due to unforeseen circumstances. Please visit our other stores. So, okay. Yep.
Wait, I just want to make a pitch. Not only are we all going to see each other next Tuesday night, but Monday night is the 2030 ad hoc third and final community meeting at the brewery, 6:00. Please join us.
Talk about the brewery on Amity, New England.
New England Brewery, right?
Okay.
Right.
Okay, good. All right, I had a motion to adjourn second.
Second.
All those in favor? See you Tuesday night or Monday night, actually. You can get
If you
down.
can make it. Good
Okay.
night, everybody.
See you all later. Enjoy the rain.